The good news is it can only go up from here. I did a split slate podcast this morning talking about the early only slate over on FanDuel. My favorite pitcher was Tyler Mahle, who scored -9 FanDuel points. It's not golf. You want to go high, bud. And then I said to stack the Reds. They did nothing until literally like 5 seconds ago. So we're off to a banner start. Also, Sam Burns just withdrew from the PGA Championship. So it can't get any worse. I think that means we're guaranteed to bank something for tonight in MLB DFS, or at least let's hope so. Welcome on into the FanDuel Fantasy Q&A. My name is Jim Sonis. I am a senior writer and analyst for numberFire.com, here to answer your questions and get you set for tonight's slate of MLB DFS. As always, no matter where you are watching, you can get your questions in for today. YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter, no matter which platform you're on. Get your questions in. We'll answer them live here on air over the course of the next 25 minutes. Now, quick scheduling note for right now. Tomorrow, we will not have a 4 p.m. stream. Dr. Disrespect is doing a stream tomorrow afternoon. So a lot more exciting than me talking MLB DFS. I believe that starts in the afternoon. So swing back to the FanDuel YouTube page tomorrow. Check out Dr. Disrespect and swing back around for that. But it does mean no Q&A show. We'll still have the solo shot as usual, 9 a.m. on YouTube and on the numberFire Daily Fantasy Podcast feed immediately after that, but no 4 p.m. stream for tomorrow. Back with you once again on Monday to get you set for that slate. But for right now, let's talk about Thursday's slate and try to rebound from the early only slate. And it's a tough one. So if we're trying to rebound with confidence, this might not be the best slate for that, because as you can see here, the pitching options are tough. You got Nick Pivetta, who is decent. He's facing the Blue Jays, though, really tough matchup, and he's at a park that is very good for offense right now. The park factor there, I have it as being a very positive one, but also 82 degrees. It is warm, good hitting weather. That's not great. And again, tough matchup to boot. Steven Matz is the number 3 pitcher for tonight from a salary perspective. He is also pitching that same place. He is facing the Red Sox. The Red Sox do not strike out against lefties. That's really difficult. So to me, I don't see like a super no-brainer pitcher for tonight, but I do wind up using Sandy Alcantara. I think that he is a solid option for your number one. We have a lack of good options. I just want to go with the best overall pitcher. And to me, that guy is Sandy Alcantara for the full season, 3.86 skill interactive ERA, 24% strikeout rate. But here's a big number here, 2.8% barrel rate against. He did get roughed around his last time out, or 2 times ago, maybe against the Dodgers, but it's the Dodgers. Tough matchup there. We're probably going to hear some stuff about home road splits with Alcantara. I'd like a larger sample before I really ding someone for being on the road. He's got a decent matchup tonight facing the Phillies, 91 WRC plus, 26% strikeout rate. So I think to me, that says Alcantara is going to be my number one pitcher for today. Now, Mateo is asking 20-mile-per-hour winds blowing in during the Boston game. So I like Pivetta. Besides the Dodgers, which 2 offenses do you like tonight? I am a bit lower on Pivetta because wind can only go so far. Wind can't get you strikeouts. And in DFS, we need strikeouts. You see here a 24% strike area for Pivetta. That's not bad on this slate, but he's facing a team that doesn't strike out that much. I can get more strikeouts via Alcantara, and I feel better about the non-strikeout stuff because Pivetta walks a lot of guys too. That puts him in some trouble. The Blue Jays, not a high walk team, but even though the wind is blowing in, that's not going to get him strikeouts. So to me, Pivetta is not someone who stands out all that much personally. Rough park for pitching, even with the wind blowing in. I believe the wind was blowing in last night too, when there was a decent amount of offense, at least early in that game. So I'm not personally in on Pivetta tonight, but I understand the route that you got there, but not for me personally. Besides the Dodgers, I do like the Dodgers. So yes, I'm glad you identified them. Which other 2 offenses do you like for tonight? I like the Braves a lot. I think the Braves are actually my number 1 stack for today above the Dodgers. They're facing Will Crowe. Crowe is not a guy with a lot of sample size at the big league level. Let's actually pull up his profile over here. And we're going to see a small sample. So we're kind of extrapolating. But when you try to extrapolate the numbers we have for Will Crowe, you're going to probably see a guy who struggles to get strikeouts, lets up some balls in play, walks some guys, and is not hyper restrictive with the balls in play against him. So that to me adds up to saying I can stack Atlanta, a good offense, good park for hitting in general, decent tonight too at the temperature at 80 degrees. So I have the Braves number 1, Dodgers number 2. If I were looking for a third team to stack for today, I might actually wind up on one that Alvin just asked about. Do you like Boston or the Blue Jays? I actually might be okay with Boston as my number 3 stack facing Mats. And Mats is a good pitcher. Like from a real world perspective, he's pitching really well. The problem is, like we talk about a lot, he's going to let up a lot of balls in play. And a lot of those have been decently well struck. It's an 8.3% barrel rate against Mats so far this year. It's not a monster number, but the Red Sox, good team against lefties, super low strikeout rate, good results for them as well. That's a tough situation. I would not stack against Mats on most slates. I think he's a pretty good pitcher. I have a decently high opinion of him, but I think in this specific context, it might be okay to do so just because it's a tough matchup in a park that I do like despite the fact the wind is blowing in. I could also justify stacking the Marlins. Now, that may sound weird, given that if you listen to the solo shot this morning, I said Vince Velasquez was my number 2 pitcher. But that's because Vince Velasquez has the widest range of outcomes you could possibly imagine. I think you can justify stacking Miami in one lineup and using Vince Velasquez as your pitcher in the next one. That's kind of the way he works. And the reason that he's so volatile is that he lets up a lot of walks, lets up a lot of hard contact. This is his past 4 starts. So ever since his pitch count got fully elevated, he has an 11% walk rate and 18.5% barrel rate against. Those are tremendous numbers from a stacking perspective. Those are the things we want to seek out. We want to seek out hard contact and base runners. Velasquez will allow those. So that's why you can justify stacking the Marlins for tonight. But I also think you can justify using Velasquez in those 4 starts. A 27% strikeout rate. The Marlins have a 27% strikeout rate as well. That's the worst mark on the slate. They have the second worst WRC plus versus righties, the lowest walk rate. So the things that Velasquez struggles with are things that the Marlins also struggle with. So that may mitigate some of the issues that he has. Velasquez has a full pitch count. He's gone 90 plus in 3 straight starts. He's had decent results so far. I don't know if those will stick around. It could go very poorly. Again, I think there's a legit chance that Velasquez pulls a Malley and gets negative points for tonight. But as you can see here, he's been okay. And Atlanta's a tough matchup. Toronto's a tough matchup. Milwaukee, a good matchup. So that's not a massive plus. But I don't want to say I believe in Velasquez because that is a dangerous thing to do given his track record, given how many times he has burned us before when we've decided to try to trust him. But I think there is enough here for me to use him for tonight. Is it safe? Absolutely not. Not even for a tiny bit. But is it high upside? I think so, just because the strikeouts are there, good matchup, at home, pitching pretty well. I think that's enough for me to say that Velasquez deserves to be number 2 on our list. I'm okay stacking the Marlins as well. Again, obviously not in the same lineup, but I do think that you can go either way with this one. If I had to choose, like if I'm doing one lineup, I mean, I just go Alcantara, I guess. But like if I were just doing one lineup and had to choose between stacking against Velasquez or using him as a pitcher, I might go using him as a pitcher. Doesn't let up a ton of balls in play, but I think overall you can justify either way. For me personally, slight preference for Velasquez as a pitcher versus stacking against him. Question from Sunny. Any rain in the forecast for tonight? Let's go over here to the numberFire games and lineups page. No rain there and no rain there. All good to go. From a weather perspective, from looking at the temperatures, we do get a slight park factor downgrade in Los Angeles. Actually, maybe not slight, pretty decent actually. 67 degrees there versus 82, 80, and 75, the other three parks. So you do want to downgrade offenses in Los Angeles, but again, it's still fine, and I still want to rank them second. That's why they can solidify themselves as being second behind the Braves, because the Braves are in better hitting conditions, but I'm still okay stacking the Dodgers for tonight. So no rain in the forecast. You are good to go there. Sunny, appropriately named for tonight. Alvin, do you like Smiley as a pitcher? I tried to talk myself into it, Alvin. Couldn't do it. Just a really rough year so far for Drew Smiley. But let's go through this, try to see if we can talk ourselves into Smiley, because as you've probably picked up on, I don't really want to recommend Vince Velasquez as my number 2 pitcher, kind of doing so by default. So let's see if we can justify using Drew Smiley. I don't think we'll be able to, but Let's dig in and see. He did miss some time earlier this year. It was a while ago now. I think it was after his second start. Yeah, a little IL stint there. Since coming back, couple good starts recently against Milwaukee and Washington. That's pretty good. The problem is the strikeout number is still low. And the Pirates, although they're bad, they're not a high strikeout team. 24% strikeout rate versus lefties. Let's look at the velocity here, because initially the velocity was down from last year. Oops, wrong one. Let's go to velocity here. 92.6. Okay, so the velocity's been okay since coming back. About in line with where it was before the injury, not up or anything, but it's okay. Check out the plate discipline data. Yeah, actually down a little bit. So I think I would like to talk myself into him. And I tried. I looked into this morning too when I was deciding on that second pitcher, because I really did not want to go. I was hoping Trevor Bauer would start tonight for the Dodgers, but he got pushed back to tomorrow. So couldn't go there. I really wanted to not go Velasquez, which is why I tried to talk myself into Smiley, just because the matchup is so good. I can't quite get there, though. There's just not enough in the peripherals to tell me that Drew Smiley is going to get strikeouts in a matchup with a team that is not a super high strikeout team. Smiley, his past couple of starts, 6 innings, 1 earned run. Could he do that again tonight? Potentially. And just by default, that could be enough for him to be one of the higher scoring pitchers. But still, I feel like it's kind of a rough situation. Now, can I stack the Pirates? Probably not. 26% hard hit rate against lefties, 32% fly ball rate. Let's actually look here and see if they have any viable guys we could justify, because, if you want to get weird, stacking the Pirates is pretty weird. So let's at least look at it. Let's humor ourselves here briefly and see if we can talk ourselves into any Pirates from a stacking perspective for tonight against Drew Smiley. All right, let's sort here by plate appearances against lefties. Reynolds has good numbers in a 47 plate appearance sample, so don't put too much weight in that, but 38% hard hit rate, good ISO, that's fine. Jacob Stallings has been fine. I'm not going to get here. If we're just being realistic, I'm not going to get there. But I don't think there's enough in Smiley's profile to really convince me that he's worth inclusion for tonight. Now, WW Fresh along those lines says, this slate is kind of gross. These pitching options are terrible. I agree. It's not great. If we go over to the pitching tab here, there are 2 dudes with skill interactive ERAs under 4.10. One of them is, I think we can stack against him. He's facing the Red Sox, low strikeout team in a bad park for pitching. That's pretty gross. Yes, you're right. It is gross. That's why I wind up on Alcantara, because, again, if I don't have a super high ceiling guy, if I don't have a Max Scherzer, if I don't have a Brandon Woodruff, Corbin Burns, someone like that, I just want to go for the best quality pitcher. And to me, that guy is Alcantara with a 3.86 skill interactive ERA, 24% strikeout rate, low walk rate, low barrel rate against. Let's dig into Alcantara's numbers here, because I think that there will be some questions about home road splits with Alcantara. So let's just look at this and kind of investigate. I'm going to go. He's a different pitcher now than he was last year. He's been much more effective this year than he was last year, outside of the start that he made last week. But just to get a larger sample, let's pull up Alcantara's numbers on the road versus at home. And we'll do since the start of last year. So let's change this to 2020. And then we're going to group this by career. Okay, so overall, 3.58 ERA. Don't care too much about ERA because it's a decently small sample all around, but we do care about strikeout rate. Strikeout rate is something that can fluctuate a decent amount, whether you're at home or on the road. And it's not just because, guys are more comfortable at home. It's also because, some parks are just set up better for strikeouts. The eye in center field may be skewed a certain way. Things like that can make a difference. So, 24% strikeout rate overall for Alcantara. Let's look at home. We look at home, it is 23%. On the road, it's 24%. Okay. Higher walk rate on the road, I believe. Yeah, higher walk rate on the road. Let's check out the batted ball data against him. 25% hard hit rate against, and at home, it's 29%. So actually, the splits are pretty good for Alcantara on the road. I know we tend to view him as being a guy we want to use at home because his ERA is better at home, but strikeout rate's better, slightly better. The hard contact data favors him on the road. So I'm not going to say bump up Sandy Alcantara when he's on the road. That'd be, there aren't many pitchers outside of Coors who are better on the road than at home. So I'm not going to bump him up, but I'm also not going to bump him way down based on that. So Alcantara to me does grade out as being the top guy. Question from Sam over on YouTube. Where is the doc? Tomorrow. Come back again tomorrow afternoon on the FanDuel YouTube page. Dr. Disrespect will be here then. Much cooler than me. So Sam, I appreciate you tuning in. I'll talk to you tomorrow though with Dr. Disrespect there. Do appreciate it though. If you want to stick around and play some DFS to buy some time until Dr. Disrespect is on, feel free. Sonny, who is pitching for the Dodgers. I actually haven't bothered to look. It's a bullpen game, so it's possible they've officially announced it. Let's go over here and see if we have an official pitcher for them for tonight. Edwin Uceta. Okay, so let's go over here and check out him. It's not going to make a big difference because he's probably going to be out there for a couple of innings, but, let's just dig in for funsies here. Okay, he's gone 7 1/3 innings thus far. 23% strikeout rate. We care more about the swinging strikes in such a small sample. 11.2%. It's fine. I would assume that we probably see David Price for tonight. Let's check out what he's done so far. Unless he pitched last night. He last pitched. Oh, he did pitch last night or 2 nights ago. So 5.06 ERA, but a 9.9% swinging strike rate. Getting ground balls in the bullpen. So if you look at the Dodgers' overall bullpen numbers, they're not like a standout bullpen. 4.15 skill interactive ERA. This is for the entire active roster bullpen. 4.15 skill interactive ERA, 23% strikeout rate, a lot of walks, but not a lot of hard contact against. So I think you could definitely get to the Diamondbacks, I should say, because anytime you're getting a team facing middle relievers, that's a good thing, especially if they're doing so for the entire game. So the Diamondbacks justifiable for stacking for tonight, but in the Mariners bullpen or the Dodgers bullpen is fine. So I think the Diamondbacks are okay. It's not great weather for stacking though. So they're just okay. I can't go further than that. Brad on Facebook, who is your top pitcher for tonight? Again, it's Sandy Alcantara, just a good all around pitcher. And I think that that's valuable because if you look, Brad, here and see the names on this list, kind of gross. We can't use the Dodgers because no one will get a large pitch count. I don't want to use Kelly. I want to stack against him. Matz, I think you stack against too. Pavetta's going to walk a lot of guys in tough conditions for pitching. Smiley, not that great. Will Crow, I want to stack against him. Velasquez is fine, but I also think it's stack against him. So it kind of a process of elimination. It winds up being Alcantara. But again, on a slate where it's shorter and I don't have any guys I feel great about, I am okay going for the best quality pitcher. To me, that is Alcantara. Let's look at his actual numbers here because I just had the peripherals up on the page. But let's look at his. Let's look at the results. Make sure that they are skewing the right. I think he let up like 8 runs against the Dodgers last week, so the ERA potentially inflated by that one outing. But overall, 4.86 ERA despite that one outing, and over a 9-start sample, when you have a start like that, if you can still get to a 4.06 ERA, you're doing pretty well. So Alcantara, I think, is going to be pretty easily for me the number one guy. And again, it's mostly by default more so than anything. Like I can't go Velasquez number 1. As much as I am willing to use him number 2, I can't go 1. That seems like a violation of like the trust that we have collectively as a Q&A family. I can't do that. I can't put Vince Velasquez 1, but I could put him 2. So Alcantara does wind up being number 1 for me for tonight. Again, not a bad matchup against the Phillies. 91 WRC plus, 26% strikeout rate, better weather than what we have for at least for the Braves and Pirates game. So I think that all that does add up to making Alcantara the number 1 pitcher for tonight's slate. As far as other stuff, let's pull up the lineups here and see if we have some teams in that we do want to stack. The Red Sox lineup is in. Hunter Renfroe batting 7th. That's a little bit lower than I would have hoped. So I guess, they didn't really expect him to be super high in the order, but let's dig in here because we got to get different. It's a short slate. We got to find ways to deviate from the crowd because the overall roster rates of each individual batter are higher when there are fewer selections. So we got to find ways to be different. Hunter Renfroe batting 7th. That's lower in the order, could naturally lead to a lower roster rate. So far this year, not a lot of power, 161 ISO, but 11.7% barrel rate, 24% strikeout rate, 5 dingers. That's a decent profile. It's not going to be a huge sample for him versus lefties this year, but we can look at the larger terms thing. Because I know back in the day, Renfroe was like the guy in terms of smashing lefties. Still a 38% hard hit rate this year. And the fly ball rate's down, but more liners, not more ground balls. So that's good. So I would say if you're looking for a hitter to use to be different on this slate, deviating from what the default will be, which I'd assume the default will be Dodgers and Braves. I think the way to do that is by using Hunter Renfroe as someone on your team. Renfroe probably going to check in around $2,300. He's 25. So I would say Renfroe is someone you could consider as a way to deviate from the crowd for tonight on a slate where we probably know where most people will go. We were talking yesterday with Lacey about how you don't want to use Vegas information to decide where you want to go from a stacking perspective and a pitching perspective. But what you can do is easy to decide where other people will go. We can get a read on popularity by pulling up the Vegas info. So let's do that right now and see what we should expect from others for tonight in terms of what they will do. So the Braves standing out there, the Blue Jays, Dodgers. So it's pretty much in line with what we thought. Red Sox ranked 4th in the list, so I wouldn't expect them to be super popular. So I think that the Renfroe one should work. Now, DePrince asked for my home run call of the day. I kind of think that if we're going a little bit different, I would say Renfroe actually does grade out pretty well there. But if I'm looking straight up, it's probably going to be an Atlanta Braves batter, because just a good situation for them, a good park for hitting baseballs. So let's go over here to the Braves. Let's pull up their numbers versus righties and see who we should pick. I mean, it's going to be Freeman or Acuna, but that's not fun. So we'll find it's Ozzy Albies. He is the cover boy for this YouTube show for today. So got to give him some love there. But also, once we pull up the numbers for Albies so far this year versus righties, you're going to see he's due for some progression. Let's sort here by plate appearances. And Albies, only a 92 WRC plus, but a 39% hard hit rate, 50% fly ball rate, low strikeout rate. I think that Ozzy Albies, DePrince, not just going deep once tonight, going deep twice. Guaranteed. Not actually guaranteed. That's not a guarantee, but it's a fake guarantee and one that is absolutely going to happen. So your home run call for tonight, DePrince, if you want to have fun, Ozzy Albies is going to go yard tonight against the Pirates. Michael, gross slate. As a Phillies fan, I feel dirty rolling with Velasquez, but I'm feeling frisky. Phillies, Braves stacks. Who do you think the top chalk will be tonight? Kind of went through that before with the Braves being up there. I think the Dodgers will be up there. I would not be inclined to stack the Phillies. I know you're a Phillies fan, so don't let me talk you out of something that makes you happy. But personally, for me tonight, I would not go Phillies because Alcantara is so good at limiting hard contact. 2.8% barrel rate against. That is just disgusting. The league average barrel rate is, I think, around 8.5%. We can actually check that here. We go to batting numbers. We're going to go to the non-pitcher category, and we're going to go to league stats and pull up the StatCast data. This will show you league averages. Barrel rates so far this year, 8.4%. Alcantara's at 2.8%. So I don't want to stack the Phillies for today. I get it if you're a Phillies fan, and I think that Velasquez does make sense. So, Michael, I'm on board with the Velasquez half. Again, noting that it's very risky, but I won't get to the Phillies for today. Jerry, I like Swanson for the home run call. Okay, I can get behind that. I've used plenty of Dansby so far this year because I've stacked the Braves a decent amount, batting in the middle of the order, not a super high salary. 27% hard hit rate, 36% fly ball rate. Those aren't the worst numbers. So, Jerry, I think that's fine. WW Fresh, he just got rocked last start. He can get shelled, but it was against the Dodgers, and the Phillies are not the same as the Dodgers. So I know the Dodgers have had a lot of injuries, but it's a very different context to face the Dodgers than facing the Phillies. I didn't say he couldn't get rocked. Anyone can get rocked. Eric Cole got rocked this week. Anyone can get rocked. I'm just saying I'm not thinking it's the most probabilistic outcome. Therefore, I'm not going to bank on it. So that's the way it works. Anyone can get rocked. Again, I recommended Tyler Mahle today, and he scored -9 points. Anyone can get rocked. Although Mahle, that one made sense. So I'm not saying he can't get rocked. I'm just saying I prefer him above all the other options. And if we're talking probabilities, the odds that Alcantara gets rocked tonight are much smaller than the odds that Will Crow gets rocked. That's the way that I view that there. That is all that we have for today. But again, no show tomorrow because Dr. Disrespect will be with you in the afternoon. So Sam, make sure you come back tomorrow in the afternoon and check things out with Dr. Disrespect. He'll be here in the afternoons. I will not be here tomorrow for the Q&A stream, but we will still have the solo shot. That is at 9 a.m. on the FanDuel YouTube page. We'll also have a Heat Check Fantasy podcast for NASCAR at 10:30. So make sure you subscribe to the FanDuel YouTube page. If you like what you saw, hit that like button over on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook as well. If you have additional questions for me, I am on Twitter at JimSannes, JimSannes. We will talk to you once again on Monday. Big thank you to Calvin Theobald, our video producer, for running the video side of things here today. Thank you, Cal, as always. Hope you all have a fantastic weekend. We'll talk to you again next week. This has been the FanDuel Fantasy Q&A.